All right, yesterday, excuse me, yesterday you wrote your first draft of your paragraph that responded to the prompt. How does squeaky change over the course of the story? Use evidence to support your answer. I want you to take a look at what you wrote from yesterday, and I'm going to read through this checklist. I want you to see if you can check all the boxes. Did you introduce your paragraph? Did you begin with a topic sentence? And to do that, you take the question in the prompt and you restate it to begin your answer. If you didn't do that, you're going to have to revise that today. What about number two? Do you have at least 5 sentences? Count your sentences. If you don't have 5 sentences, that's something you'll have to revise today. The third box, it says, show how squeaky was in the beginning of the story. So, did you talk about how squeaky was at the beginning of the story? And this box says, show how squeaky was at the end of the story. And then the final one is include 2 direct quotes as evidence from the story. You should have 2 quotes from the story that you put in quotation marks to show, to prove your answer is true. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you my answer. I wrote this right along with you, and I want you to see what a good answer would look like so that you can use it as a model for you to go back and make revisions to your paragraph so that you can have all 5 of these boxes checked. Okay, so let me just read through mine very quickly. I'm going to highlight certain things so that you can see them a little bit clearer. And so it's not just black and white. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Okay. So here's my topic sentence. I took the question and I just made it a statement. So if you don't have a topic sentence on your paragraph, you're going to have to do that. I want you to pause the video and do that right now. But here's your topic sentence might look just like mine. Squeaky from Raymond's Run. Let me change this. I was going to say something different, but I changed my mind. See, I'm making revisions just like you. Changes throughout the story. It's just a simple sentence. It's answering the question that was given to you. So I want you to highlight your topic sentence in yellow. Pause the video, write your topic sentence, or highlight your topic sentence in yellow right now, and then we'll move on. All right. So another box was you have to talk about how squeaky was at the beginning of the story. So I'm going to highlight this in blue. At the beginning of the story, she is only focused on herself and her running. She complains about taking care of her brother Raymond. So I'm going to highlight that blue so that you can clearly see it. This is blue for beginning. This is how she is at the beginning of the story. And then it said, talk about her at the end of the story. How is she different? How does she change? And I'm going to highlight that in red. It says, by the end of the story, she realizes how important her brother is to her and wants him to feel pride like she does. And I'm going to highlight that. And I'm not going to do red. I'm going to do orange because we won't be able to read it too well if it's red. So this is how she is at the end of the story, just like the box asks. And now I'm going to give some evidence to show how she changed about her opinion of Raymond. Notice I begin my quote with what's called a little tag, a little transition. She explains, comma, then I put the quote, and then I put in the words from the story that show this is true. I'm going to do this in green. All of my evidence, my quote is going to be green. It's a long quote, but I'm going to put the whole quote in. Okay, that's why my paragraph graph looks so long. This quote shows how she realizes that she's proud of her brother Raymond, and she didn't feel this way at the beginning of the story. She explains, quote, notice the comma, then the quotation marks, capital letter, and that it occurs to me, watching how smoothly he climbs, hand over hand, and remembering how he looked running with his arms down to his side and with the wind pulling his mouth back and his teeth showing and all, it occurred to me that Raymond would make a very fine runner. Period, quotation mark. Okay, that shows how she changed her opinion of Raymond. Now, Squeaky also changed her opinion of who? Gretchen. So I'm going to talk about Gretchen in the second part of my paragraph. Squeaky, I'm going to pause the video. I want you to pause the video. Make sure that you have your paragraph highlighted like mine with your topic sentence yellow, the beginning, how Squeaky is at the beginning in blue, how she changes at the end in orange, and your evidence in green. Okay, now this could be enough. This answers the question, but if you really want a complete and really good paragraph, I want you to also talk about how she changes her opinion of Gretchen. So if you want to turn this in the way it is, that answers the question, that's fine. But if you really want to have a good, the best score you can possibly have, I also want you to talk about Gretchen. So I'm going to continue on. Squeaky also changes her opinion of Gretchen at the end of the story. This is a little transition. Now I'm explaining how I'm going to talk about Gretchen. For most of the story, she sees Gretchen as her rival. So this talks about how she feels at the beginning. So I'm going to highlight this in blue again. A rival is someone who you're very competitive with. And she and Gretchen are very competitive most of the story. But by the end of the story, she has respect for her. So I'm going to show this is how she feels at the end by highlighting it in orange. This is how she changes her opinion of Gretchen. So just like the question asked, or the little box asked, show how she is at the beginning and at the end. And this is where I'm going to introduce the quote. Squeaky realizes this when she says, comma, quote, here comes the quote from the story, the evidence. Make sure it's capital A or whatever letter you're using, capital letter at the beginning of the quote. And I look over at Gretchen, wondering what the P stands for, and I smile because she's good, no doubt about it. There's my evidence that shows that Squeaky has changed her opinion of Gretchen, how she's changed. So I'm going to highlight my quote green. Okay, just to show you, there's my evidence, there's my quote. And then I have one final sentence. Whenever you're writing a paragraph, you want to end your paragraph, make it feel finished. So I just have a little summary statement at the end, and I'm going to highlight this in yellow, just like my topic sentence. Squeaky is a dynamic character in this story because she changes in two major ways. I want you to highlight your final sentence, like your summary statement, so that you have a complete paragraph. So this is what it looks like when it's all put together. Your topic sentence is in yellow, your summary sentence is in yellow. How she acts at the beginning of the story is in blue. How she changes by the end of the story is in orange. And then the two pieces of evidence, the quotes from the story, are in green. Make sure they have quotation marks around them, and you introduce them with a little phrase like she explains or she realizes when she says, but a comma and then the quote. I'm going to pause the video, revise your paragraph, add what you need to add. You can use mine as an example. You can have the same evidence if you want to, because I don't own those words. Those come from the story. You can use those if you want to. Highlight what you need to highlight, and then I want you to turn in your final paragraph.